Hi, welcome back. This is day 6 of my journey to get more views, 1,000 views, 1,000 subscribers, and 1,000 hours of watch time in YouTube in my channel in 90 days. So this is day 6. And first thing I do is to learn from the best. Second is take massive action. And third is to have a proper mindset, as described in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey and the Compound Effect by Darryl Hardy. All right, so I'm still as far as this video is concerned, is on stage 1, on step number 1, and that is learning from the best. Sean Kennel and Benjamin Chee, I forgot his last name, are among the best in YouTube. So I'm doing a response video on them and see what I can learn from these top-notch video influencers.
You succeed. So make sure you subscribe if you're new to the channel for more content just like this. Hit that like button, and I'm excited to get into this topic because I think more than ever we need leadership in our business, in our teams, and in our lives. Sean, let's drop some wisdom about how we create leadership best practices and the principles to lead to success during this crazy time.
Yeah, Benji, this is a training that I've been doing with our team at Think Media. I've been studying wartime leaders, and there's 17 attributes of wartime leaders. And it might seem crazy. People are like, I'm just making Fortnite videos. Like, why do I need this?
So he's getting ideas, Sean Kennel is getting ideas from wartime leaders. 17 hacks. So, okay. Let's see what he has to say with the first one.
I think more than ever before, it's time to double down on discipline and think about some of these things. And so tip number 1 is wartime leaders leap out of bed. Like, you got to jump out of bed every morning, eager to get to work, and so you can lead your team. Now, you might be saying, well, I don't have a team, but here's the first person you need to lead, and every leader needs to lead: themselves. You got to get up and get yourself motivated, get your own mind right. And if you're going to create content, you got to leap out of bed, write down your goals, focus on your priorities. I told my team that if I'm not jumping out of bed early to get to work and to lead them, then they deserve a better leader. And I think there's something about getting up and getting in uniform. Benji, I've learned this. We're all working from home right now. Man, if you're wearing flannel pajamas 3 days in a row and you have not showered, you're smelling your own bad breath, that's a really hard way to be confident. You know, I've been working from home for really over the last 10 years. I've had it either home office and a side hustle in the last 6 as a full-time entrepreneur. And I get up and I get dressed and I take a shower. Why? Well, I can just work in my boxers. I can wear whatever I want. I've learned that my most important account is not my bank account, it's my confidence account. And so I got to leap out of bed, get dressed so that I'm acting like a professional because I want professional results. Wartime leaders leap out of bed.
In that first moment.
Okay, so the first hack is that wartime leaders, they lead by getting up early, dressed up, take a shower, cleaned up, and not be sloppy. They thrive in war, time of war. They thrive even more. It's not a time for them to be in pajamas. So I guess you liken this to a video influencer. We need to be such people. All right, let's see what's the second hack.
Outside of your bed when you leap out is going to influence the rest of your day. So I agree with you, Sean. How you act in those first few moments is so important. And oftentimes I don't even want to necessarily grab the phone or get on the email. I'm almost like either saying a prayer or planning out the day or getting active. You know, one thing you can do is like create content. So in regards to YouTubers or people that have channels or businesses, what content are you going to create create that momentum. But absolutely, leaping out of bed, both physically and even mentally, is very important.
Tip 2 is wartime leaders make every resource count. Man, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and as soon as this lockdown started, we started to have Zoom meetings, and this just might be with your spouse, this just might be with your own bank account and your own checkbook. You need to look at the details. During war, details matter. This is the time to be hyper vigilant with your time, with your money, and with your energy, and with even what you're saying yes and what you're saying no to. You know, one of the ideas could be that, oh, now we have a bunch of extra time, but I don't actually think we have a lot of extra time right now. I think we need to be more intentional and purposeful with our time. What could you really create if you got focused right now? Could you finish that ebook? Could you actually post those 2 videos a week, those 3 videos a week? Could you actually finish that online course you're building? Could you get that education and learn that new skill you want to build? It's about making every resource count right now. And during times like this, times of disruption, you've got to be hyper vigilant with your time, money, and energy.
A great example of this is just even your resource of time. You know, Sean, you just mentioned you even are protecting the time you spend on different things. And so if you're going to be doing something, can you make the most of it? You know, we talked earlier about this channel called Kenji Lopez, this chef and restaurant owner. And when he's cooking at home, he's in home quarantine with his family. He's not just simply cooking meals, he's recording them and putting them up as YouTube videos, right? So make the most of your time. I think this is so important, making more of whatever you're doing and making the most out of your actions so that you can do more and leverage your time. I know personally, I'm always thinking like, hey, can I create content from this moment? Now, a little bit easier for myself because I am a vlogger and it's about our lifestyle, us as a family, but still, like, it's easy during this hard time to not create content, right? To just live your life, especially when everybody's kind of in this mindset of like, you know, I'm just at home, I'm doing isolation, and there's just no point in doing anything, right? With that kind of mindset, of course, nothing's going to happen. But if you look at every second of your day, look at all the minutes that you spend doing anything as an opportunity to actually do something productive, you're going to do so much more to plant those seeds for future success.
Tip number 3 is wartime.
So tip number 2, or hack number 2 of a wartime leader, is that they make use of all available resources and time. They don't waste time. It's not time to be lazy. So that's what they're saying. Make use of time. First is get up, dress up, be ready. Second is make use of every second of your time and every cent of your available resources to invest, to learn, to put effort so that you can be successful in vlogging. That's what he's saying.
Leaders are intentional and purposeful in all things. And tip number 4 is wartime leaders are self-controlled and disciplined. Now, I know we hate the...
Okay, so he jumped from 3 to 4. 3 is self-discipline, self-control. And then 4, I have to rewind, it looks like. Because 3 and 4 were like kind of like so quickly just run over each other. It was kind of unusual. Okay, so I'm gonna replay.
Word. And like, that's not a fun word to say. And especially during the lockdown, you know, I'm seeing people's posts, I'm so bored, or like, I finished Netflix. Did you see that meme? Like, I finished Netflix, what's next? Like, all of it, right? And of course we should be relaxing and de-stressing, but I think it's time to double down on discipline.
Us as a family, but still, like, it's easy during this hard time to not create content, right? To just live your life, especially when everybody's kind of in this mindset of like, you know, I'm just at home, I'm doing isolation, and there's just no point in doing anything, right? With that kind of mindset, of course, nothing's going to happen. But if you look at every second of your day, look at all the minutes that you spend doing anything as an opportunity to actually do something productive, you're going to do so much more to plant those seeds for future success.
Tip number 3 is wartime leaders are intentional and purposeful in all things. And tip number 4.
Okay, tip number 3, or hack number 3, is A wartime leader is intentional and purposeful in all things. Intentional and purposeful in all things. And tip number 4
is wartime leaders are self-controlled and disciplined. Now, I know we hate the
Tip number 4 is that a wartime leader is self-controlled and self-disciplined. They're strict with their self. They're strict with themselves.
word. And like, that's not a fun word to say. And especially during the lockdown, you know, I'm seeing people's posts, I'm so bored, or like, I finished Netflix. Did you see that meme? Like, I finished Netflix. What's next? Like all of it, right? And of course we should be relaxing and de-stressing, but I think it's time to double down on discipline. My friends, this is going to affect your YouTube channel. This is going to affect your views. It's going to affect your subscribers. And the challenge with times right now is you see stats that like alcohol consumption and sales are up like double during times of the pandemic. Now, don't get me wrong, like I'm all about like relaxing with the drink. You know, Benji and I will toast a hazy IPA, a local micro brew, especially with our roots being in Seattle and the West Coast. Come on and let us know in the comments, like, what's your favorite go-to drink? But now's not the time to be putting your head in the sand and overeating, over drinking, but it's time to really get self-controlled and disciplined. I've been so tempted to just try to kind of numb the pain or lean into distractions, but you're here on Video Influencers, in a video that's different than the kind of video we would normally make. That's all about leadership, and leaders lead, creators create. And so if you up your self-control right now and your discipline right now, then you're going to be able to make a greater impact with your content, and come on, you're a role model. What would it look like for you to be the role model as a content creator, as a thought leader on your YouTube channel? Think about that, and that makes us need to lean into discipline.
And this can be simply not just with your business or your content creation. It can even be with your everyday actions, like eating and working out. I know there's this other new term, Sean, called grazing, where you kind of graze and you eat everything around you. You know, like charcuterie boards are perfect for this, where it's just food spread out and you're just kind of like eating throughout the day. Easy to kind of maybe gain some weight, maybe get overweight and get sluggish. Same thing with working out, because you don't have the gym, you can't go out as regularly. Maybe there's certain sports you can't be a part of. It's easy to lose sight on your health in terms of your physicality. But I can tell you right now, I try to balance every single day. I look at every single day as a new day, right? I have to reset every single day. And of course, you know, I want to enjoy a drink at night, maybe a glass of wine, or eat something like fried chicken. Last night I made some Japanese fried chicken, but I'm quickly back to green juice. In fact, on the next segment, I'm going to grab my green juice from the fridge. And the same thing with working out. I don't have my gym anymore. I was doing taekwondo with the girls, but right now I work out twice a week. Once in the garage doing kettlebell and push-ups for like an hour and a half, right? I bang that out. And then my second workout is a 10-mile run. So I went from doing about 5 workouts a week to 2 workouts. But again, I'm trying to stay disciplined, because also I know there's a lot of things that we're balancing out. Kids are home from school, so you have to do homeschooling. Of course, you don't have all the resources you normally do. And even though we have a lot more time in some ways, we don't have all the tools and the resources to be able to do what we do. So definitely stay disciplined. And again, don't let things be an excuse. Find solutions so that you can be consistent with that discipline and have self-control.
And if you're getting value out of this video, hit the like button. And if you are committing to just step up to another level, to lean in.
Another thing I learned that to be a successful video influencer is to, instead of asking for people to click subscribe at the end, they ask people subscribe kind of like near the middle or after, between the middle and the beginning, but not at very end, because a lot of people don't listen to the very end, so they won't be able to hear for your call to action
right now, and to really seize the opportunity to be a leader during this time in the world where we need you to lead, then drop in the comments, I'm a leader. And the next tip is number 5, wartime leaders are vigilant and not complacent. Complacency kills. Wartime.
So wartime leaders are vigilant. They're watchful and not complacent. That means passive. They are aggressively watching what's going on and not passively letting things pass by. That's the fifth hack of a wartime leader.
Leaders are vigilant. They're leaning in. Tip number 6, wartime leaders are focused on their most important objectives. Benji, this is one of...
Okay, hack number 6. Wartime leaders or video influencers, top ones, they focus on their most important objectives. They focus on their goals and their objectives to meet their goal.
The most important ones. I think we really need to be auditing and asking ourselves this question: what is my most important objective right now? What is my most important activity? Not what are all the activities that I could be doing. What is the most important? What will be the highest impact one? What's the next video that has the most opportunity during this time that people are most likely to be searching for? What is, Think Media, we talk about our IPAs, and we just mentioned IPAs, not the beer, but we talk about income producing activities. We talk about what are our income producing activities, not our busy work on social media. If you're a social media influencer content creator, you might justify saying that scrolling on Instagram for an hour and a half is research or is networking, but is that really your most important, highest impact IPA? What are your income producing activities? If your channel's monetized, posting more videos and getting more views will make you more money. So that's an IPA. If it's building something, your income is directly correlated to the amount of buy buttons that you have on your website. What are your IPAs? Do you need to build a course, build a product, build out a video connected to affiliate marketing? This is one of the most important questions. Look, when it's peacetime, man, you have a chance to take a little time off, relax a little bit, or work on a little side projects and work on this experiment and that experiment. But when it's wartime, man, it's about focused. And wartime leaders are focused on their most important objectives. I think this is the difference between those who are really going to thrive during this time and to those who aren't, because it's the lack of focus. It's the anxiety that has us so scattered. You got to get rid of the scattered and get laser focused on your most important objectives. Next is tip number 7, wartime leaders are paranoid. Now this one's kind of misunderstood by some. The former CEO...
Hack number 7, wartime leaders are paranoid. We'll see what that means.
Intel, the chip that's probably running your computer or phone right now, and we've heard of Intel processors. He wrote a book called Only the Paranoid Will Survive. Now, it's not paranoia of fear. We know that fear will lead us to inaction and have us make bad decisions. But there's something about being paranoid to where the reason we are so vigilant, the reason we are so focused is because we're not, when you're paranoid is when you're kind of on edge, when you're looking at every detail, when you're like, oh, is somebody about to get me? And there's a level of, it doesn't mean anxiety, it doesn't mean stress, but it just means that we are on edge with the things that matter most. Really, another way to put that is wartime leaders are paying attention. They're looking at the details.
So he defines paranoid as someone who pay attention, who is focused, vigilant, watchful, and looking at the details. The devil is in the details.
Paranoid. Number 8, wartime leaders roll with the 6s and 7s. This is one of my favorite attributes of wartime leaders.
So wartime leaders for hack number 7 is that they roll with the 7s, the 6s, and the 7s. And we have to find out what that means.
And what we've been talking about over at Think Media is you cannot give into perfectionism right now. This is not the season to paint the plane and to make sure that there's a nice mural on the side of the plane. This is the season to get the plane running, make sure it's safe, and to take off and get that freaking thing in the air. You got to roll with your 6s and 7s. That means that you're not putting out shabby videos that are like 3s and 4s, but it also means that you're not overproducing your videos to be like only 10s and therefore slowing down your outputs. This is the season to start messy. We launched 3 new shows. I wasn't comfortable with with it. Heather on the Think Media team was like, Sean, you're doing a show now called Coffee with Candle. You're going live on Facebook. I was like, I'm not ready. There's no branding. There's no music. I don't know. How's it going to go? I was super stressed out about it, but then I was like, wartime leaders roll with 6s and 7s. Hey, it might be a 6, but better to get a bunch of live streams out that are 6s than nothing at all. Wait.
Oh, I like that. You don't need to put out 10s, but don't put out 1s and 2s and 3s, but put out things like 6, a little bit better than average, or even average. 6 is like average, I suppose. But I like that. I need to work on that because I think mine is mostly 2s and 3s. So it's something that I need to work on. All right.
Being on perfection. Maybe you can double down on your videos and instead of over polishing them, get 3 7s out a week instead of 1 10. You're going to make a greater impact if you do. Tip 9. Wartime leaders are too busy fighting the enemy to read management books written by consultants.
All right, so that's tip number, I'm not sure what's number 8 or what, but basically wartime heroes do not read things that people that are living in the ivory tower. They are more practical. They pay attention to what works and not all theoretical. I think that's what he's saying.
Who have never managed a fruit stand. What does that point mean? We just did a video about create more than you consume, but when you are consuming, be careful what you consume. Right now, wartime leaders are learning. We are reading books. We're listening to podcasts. Come on, we're doubling down. We're leveling up our skills. But we're being careful that we're not learning from consultants who have never managed a fruit stand. You want to make sure, be careful who you follow right now. And make sure you follow people who have actually gotten proven results and also that do so with aligned values with you. I like to follow a lot of people online, but I'm careful that it's not people that have maybe compromised to get where they are, or people that I just don't align with their beliefs or their values, or people that actually have never really managed a fruit stand, but now they're some kind of a so-called expert. We're just being really careful because time is too fragile. These tips build on each other. You're making every resource count. You can't listen to 35 podcasts right now. Pick the best, most focused, most relevant information from proven, trusted people that have gotten results that's going to help you solve your most pressing problems and focus on your most important objectives.
I love that there are management books out there, consultants out there. However, the times that we're living in, the crisis that we're experiencing is super unique. So your circumstances are unique. So the best learning that can be done are from the experiences that you're going through right now. And there's nothing better than effort and experience to teach you what you need to know to be able to react to this pandemic that we're experiencing. So tip number 10 is wartime leaders double down on the actions and activities they can control. Now, we can't control
pressing problems and focus on your most important objectives.
I love that there are management books out there, consultants out there. However, the times that we're living in, the crisis that we're experiencing is super unique. So your circumstances are unique. So the best learning that can be done are from the experiences that you're going through right now. And there's nothing better than effort and experience to teach you what you need to know to be able to react to this pandemic that we're experiencing. So tip number 10 is wartime leaders double down on the actions and activities they can control. Now
Okay, hack number 10. Hack number 10 is that wartime leaders double down on the actions they can control. So basically, it's something that they are within their control. They don't focus on what that may be or what possibility or think out of things that they cannot control. They work on things that they can have influence on. All right, let's see what's a bit more they have to say about that.
can't control what this crisis has brought to this world, whether it's lost revenue, a shutdown economy, whether it's, like people getting sick and dying, and obviously just the world coming to a halt. But there's so many things we can control. We can control what we read. We can control what we watch. We can control how we spend our time at home. We can either Netflix and chill and be depressed about the world, or we can inform our brains with the best practices, learn new skills, upload more videos. If you're watching this, you're watching because you want to create a channel on YouTube. So right now you should be creating scripts, building out ideas lists for future videos. You should be recording, you should be editing, you should be uploading to YouTube, right? And you should be doing that constantly. Control what you can control and leave everything else to the randomness of the world, okay? And it's just gonna happen.
Yeah, and tip number 11 is wartime leaders train their team to survive the battle with the enemy. Now,
Wartime 11, or hack number 11. Video influencers train their team to survive the battle with the enemy. I would rephrase that to wartime great video producers and YouTube. They are fighters. They are fighters, and they train their team to know how to fight the enemy.
this goes, especially if you work with somebody else and if other people are depending on you. This goes if you are a leader in your home and you've got a family, there's people around you that you're leading, and maybe it's not that you haven't seen it that way, but it doesn't make it less true. Maybe today is the moment where you wake up and you say, man, I got to lead my family at another level, or I got to lead that virtual assistant that I work with. But especially at Think Media, we've got a team of 11. You know, here at Video Influencers, we do meetings on Monday, and we've got people like Gabby and Nuchely and Gabe helping us, and we jump on Skype, and Carla and Jordan, and we jump on Zoom, and we've got and we talk about this kind of thing. And here's where this tip is really relevant, so they don't get their ass shot off in battle. It matters more than ever before that you're being vigilant to encourage and equip those around you. I think that's what we're trying to do. This is the Video Influencers team. Come on. This is the influencer community. We're here to say, look, you got to be in a different mindset right now. This is not peacetime. This is time to be leaning in, hyper vigilant, be disciplined. We don't want you to get crushed by this recession. We don't want you to get sidelined or derailed at this time. Why are we sharing this information with you? So that you can be hyper vigilant and really be focused and leading right now. We don't want you to get shot in battle. See, the stakes are different. When it's peacetime, it's like, you know what, let's chill a little bit, let's take some time off, we can relax, and guess what, friends? There will be peacetime again. But right now, it's time to be leaning in. And so make sure that you're equipping and training those around you. And I want to really challenge you, if you're a parent, if you're a leader in your home, and if you have any kind of team, how are you equipping, training, and being a role model for those that are following you? The people that are following you matter so much. You don't want them to get shot in battle. You got to be leading and training right now.
Tip number 12 is wartime leaders are optimistic. You know, being optimistic is pretty.
Okay, hack number 12. Great YouTube video producers. Okay, I gotta listen to that again.
And guess what, friends? There will be peacetime again. But right now, it's time to be leaning in. And so make sure that you're equipping and training those around you. And I want to really challenge you, if you're a parent, if you're a leader in your home, and if you have any kind of team, how are you equipping, training, and being a role model for those that are following you? The people that are following you matter so much. You don't want them to get shot in battle. You got to be leading and training right now.
Tip number 12 is wartime leaders are optimistic.
Okay, so hack number 12. Great YouTube video producers or creators or people who are optimistic. They see things half full rather than half empty. They look at things in a positive.
optimistic. You know, being optimistic is pretty obvious that you need to be, because if you're pessimistic about things, you're going to have a negative mindset. You're going to maybe make some wrong decisions because you're not going to have good habits. You're going to be wasting your time, not as productive. But being optimistic obviously can help you have a positive mindset, make the right decisions, to have the right actions, to have success, whether in your business or on YouTube. But remember, as a leader, you're not just being optimistic for yourself. You're being optimistic for who you lead and who you influence. So make sure you start every single day with the optimistic mindset, right? Again, this is why it's important to consume good things. I can tell you this morning, right when I woke up, of course, I'm grabbing coffee. I had my yogurt breakfast, but I'm listening to some motivational videos. And I know a lot of people give it a bad rap, like it's kind of artificial. I don't care. I love listening to Joel Osteen and him talking about how to succeed in life, right? How to have a positive mindset. Optimism is so important. As a leader, again, you're not just being optimistic for yourself, you're being optimistic for those who you're leading to help you make better decisions, have better actions, and have better results in your business.
And you might be thinking, Sean, Benji, what are the hacks though? I just want to get more YouTube views. These tips will get you more YouTube views. In fact, this is probably some of the most important information that we've ever shared on this channel, because you need to be a leader right now. Creators create, leaders lead. And we got to overcome fear and rise up. And when we double down on discipline and when we stay focused on our most important objectives, we will get better results even on YouTube, which brings us to tip number 13, and that's wartime leaders take care of their body, their mind, and their spirit.
Okay, great video producers in YouTube, creators. They hack number 13. They take care of their body, mind, and spirit. Well, I fully agree with that.
Well, Sean, I just want some hacks for YouTube. That's a hack for YouTube, because YouTube's all about you being in your most powerful, productive state. And so if you have low energy, if you're discouraged, if your mind's foggy, then how are you going to put out great content? And great content is what wins on YouTube. Practically, a lack of sleep will ruin your life. It really will. It'll make you less effective. Right now, it's like, oh, I'm locked down. I don't got to go anywhere tomorrow. Let me stay up a few extra hours. Well, that's going to compound into the next day and into the next day. Again, wartime is different than peacetime. And so as soon as this lockdown started and we really started to see the effect of this pandemic, this is information I was sharing with my team. This is information Benji and I were sharing with each other in the video influencers team. And we're thinking about, man, we need to respond different. It's kind of like if your neighbor's house is on fire, you don't just go, it's 6 p.m. We'll finish putting that out tomorrow. No, when there's a fire, you're on it until that thing is put out. Like when there's something that's happening that's different, it makes us in a different state. So I've been doubling down on discipline. I've been thinking, man, I can't miss my morning routine. I need to make sure I stay rested. I got too much stress, too much worry, too much pressure to really be operating as if it was peacetime. So wartime leaders protect their most important habits. What are your most important habits right now? Benji's like this super athlete. Like he does like cleans and all this CrossFit stuff and all this kind of stuff. He runs super fast, has all these record times. I jog around my neighborhood, like at a nice like 9-minute and 30-second mile pace. It's really not that crazy, but it keeps me in shape. It keeps my mind firing. It gets me going with oxygen. It keeps me lean and mean. I'm careful what I eat during the week so that I have the most mental focus as possible. So that's why we had such a good April, even during wartime, because I was taking care of my body, taking care of my mind, taking care of my spirit. Sean, Benji, just tell me the YouTube strategy. This is a YouTube strategy. If you get better energy and creativity out of yourself, what's going to happen to your personal brand and business? It's going to blow up. But you got to focus on your most important habits.
You know, The reality is most of us already know what to do to crush it on YouTube. The reason we're not doing that is maybe the wrong mindset. We don't have the right energy. We're not motivated. So this is why these principles are so important to follow, even if they don't directly relate to a YouTube tactic or strategy, as Sean said, they will affect your decisions, your actions. So I'm excited to get into tip number 14, which is wartime leaders communicate effectively and double down on clear.
Okay. Tip number 14. Great YouTube creators, video creators, they communicate effectively and double down on communication. On speaking effectively, on speaking clearly, on communicating ideas across so that it's not misunderstood, but clear and understandable.
Communication. You know, one of the number one tips we have in here is clarity. Clarity on your channel, clarity to your viewers, your subscribers on what your channel's about. And it's the same thing when it comes to your team or people you work with, contractors that help you create this content. If you're not clearly communicating what you want, what your vision is, how is anybody supposed to effectively follow you? So make sure you're very clear. I think part of this is just having a simple plan right now, right? Don't get into something complex. Right now, in addition to all the things that we have to deal with because of this crisis, we've got to double down on content. And the way you double down is you scale things up. And the way you scale things up is you simplify. And part of all this is having a clear vision and communicating that to people. Not only do you have to communicate clearly, you almost have to become a broken record of what you're communicating. Don't feel like you've exhausted how many times you can tell your team what your plan is, what is your vision for your channel. So make sure you're clearly communicating what it is that you want to do to the people you're working with so you get the most out of their efforts.
And if you're a solo creator right now and you're only doing everything all by yourself, you still got to have clear communication. Like, if you don't know what you're doing tomorrow, then you're not being a wartime leader. If you don't have a plan in some kind of a calendar, whether you're using Google Calendars or some kind of a planner, I love you, but you're not leading right now. If you don't know your plan for this next week, your game plan, then how are you possibly going to be effective? And so you got to think things through and look ahead and actually make a plan. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. If you're not communicating effectively with your spouse and the people around you, if your audience doesn't know what your intention is, what your goals and ambition are, if you haven't articulated your mission or your vision, by the way, I hope you're not getting discouraged. I hope you're getting challenged to just think, man, I got to be communicating effectively. So you got to be like a laser right now. And if you have a team, this matters more than ever before. And we've probably all done this. If it's your job, you've maybe done this before. At school, you go, oh, I thought the instructions on the school project were this, and the communication wasn't clear. You wasted your whole weekend doing the wrong thing. If you've ever worked at a job and they said, hey, do this, this, and this, and then your boss comes back to you and they go, you did it all wrong. And you go, well, I thought you said, and either they communicated wrong or you heard it wrong, but either way, there was a waste of time, there was a waste of resources, and during peacetime, oh well, you could just maybe get started on the next day. You lost a little time, no big deal. But when it's wartime, man, minutes matter. And so clear communication, we are doubling down on personal communication where I'm managing, I look ahead at what I need to accomplish in a week and what's most valuable. And then especially if there's any kind of multi-channel, like Benji, this will hit me. I didn't have clear communication with Sonia this week on one of the nights when I was working late. She doesn't mind if I work a little late. All she wants, as you can imagine, come on ladies, was knowledge and clarity of what to expect, when to have dinner, when things like that. And so a lack of communication led to a skirmish. And maybe it was a little bigger than a skirmish. It was a little bit of a fight, right? And so that was just one thing between a husband and a spouse. Communication matters right now, influencers. So wartime leaders communicate effectively and they double down on clear communication.
Tip number 15 is wartime leaders know that sacrifice is necessary. Let's be real. Everybody is feeling some sacrifice right now. The economy is crumbling. The world has halted. Businesses have to shut down. Incomes are lowering. Governments have to bail corporations out and people out. So the reality is everybody's going to have to make some kind of sacrifice. And if you're one of those people that are fortunate enough to be able to stay at home and work from home and have some extra time to be able to Netflix and chill or consume content or just like take it easy, I would urge you to make additional sacrifices, because I can tell you those people that are desperate, that are hungry, that are working really hard, it might not seem like it right now, but only in time these people's actions are going to result in some high performances, some results where you're going to wish that you made sacrifices right now when you had the extra time. Sean is getting ready to have his first child. My wife is pregnant and is going to probably pop a baby out in the next 30 to 60 days. Both of our businesses, we're having to do some damage control. We've got some lost revenue in different areas. We have employees to take care of, but we're not only doing all those things and taking care of our families, obviously our wives, but we're also doubling down on content. That means we're sacrificing time for other hobbies of ours, other things that we could be doing. Don't get me wrong, once in a while we take a break with our wives. I was watching this new series called Waco on Netflix, but it's like 1 or 2 hours and then I'm back to sleep, or I'm back on the grind, or I'm working. Making a sacrifice during this crisis is going to be so important, not only to get through what's going on right now, but to plant those seeds for future opportunities.
Sacrifice always precedes success. And if you want to be successful on YouTube, you want to be successful or even just survive and thrive during this time, you got to ask yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice? Do you need to sacrifice it forever? No, not necessarily. But we're talking about a particular season. We've been talking about being wartime leaders. And during wartime, we've had talks with our team that we might need to sacrifice weekends or sacrifice some time or work a little bit later here. Because come on, we're all going through this as humans on planet Earth right now. We might need to do a little extra, put in a little extra. What's the little extra you can put in? And what are you willing to sacrifice during this season to set you up for success in the future? You have a chance to help. You have the opportunity to contribute. How? With live streams, with videos, with simple decluttering that can give people a little peace of mind and a distraction and more peace in their home, with financial planning services, or with personal finance advice, with all kinds of different topics. We're simply helping people beat Reno on Final Fantasy VII. I got stuck so long on that freaking boss. I'm watching Google articles and YouTube videos so I could beat him when I'm taking a little bit of time off at night to play the greatest remake of one of my favorite games that's over 25 years old. You got to be willing to sacrifice right now. But tip number 16 is wartime leaders rest and take time away during extended time.
Okay, hack number 15 is that great YouTube creators during this time of pandemic willing to sacrifice. The word is sacrifice. Not a time to kind of like relax, but sacrifice.
Times of war, the generals, the infantry, people at every level still need to make sure that they rest and take time away. And up until this point, we've been pretty hardcore on all these tips, but this does not mean burn out. This does not mean burn the candle at both ends. This does not mean destroy your health. This means about being wise. And after seasons of extended hustle and putting out content,
I think that was either 16 or 17, that great video producers, and creators, they take time to rest.
so what I should have done in hindsight is I could have made, if I had a coffee conversation with somebody, if someone asked me, hey, can we sit down for like an hour and talk about like the essential things I need to know about YouTube? That is the perfect thing to package into a lower ticket offer.
First of all, thank you so much, Ben, for taking the time to show up today. So, for people that may have not heard the first episode, or they're not familiar with your brand, let us know in like maybe 1 minute what you do exactly and how did you get started into the whole YouTube game and building your brand online.
So
totally. So now, what I do today is I help people build their influence with online video and specifically YouTube. Specifically, usually leaders and entrepreneurs.
We'll see you later.
And got started back in 2003 doing video production at my local church, and so.